Welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. I was trained in Western medicine as a physician assistant, where I was exposed to the dark side of medicine. Through self-education and biohacking, I figured out ways to hack my system, becoming a better version of myself. We'll explore the wisdom and insight of my findings with each episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. Hello and welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. We're here with special guest Phil Wilson, president of Relax Saunas. Phil, how are you doing today?
I'm good, and I love your topic, and we're going to have a lot of fun for the next hour.
Awesome. What's your why? Why do you do what you do?
I had an out-of-body experience in 1970. I was a mathematician before that, and I was very left brain, so I learned how to become right brain through that and focus on getting involved in music, dance, and art as a to appreciate it and to experience it more. And following this for a year and a half, and then having another experience where my whole body was electrified, filled with energy, and then I couldn't eat anything. I had to start fasting all the time, and basically becoming almost a fruitarian, living pretty much for 9 months on 80% of my diet being figs, dates, and cashews. As a result of that, I was doing these exercises every day, and basically, my goal in a sense was almost to become a breatharian. But then I realized that so much communication happens over dinner that I said, well, no, that wouldn't work. So I gave up that idea, although the atmospheres at breatharian restaurants are totally incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, so I've learned to eat normally now. But I do know the tremendous reactions I had from foods that were not natural. Processed foods, refined sugar, dairy, meat back then. I can handle it now, but it totally wiped me out. Basically, 1980, I opened up a health food store. In 1976, before that, I was selling really incredible herbal vitamin mineral formulas. Later on, I sort of accidentally opened up a health food store where I started focusing on rebounders, inversion devices, massage tools, and then another massage tool, massage sandals, another massage tool, and then Chinese herbal formulas, green foods, oxygen products, medicinal mushrooms, and essential oils, and all that. I was a pioneer in the 80s, selling that not only in my store, but other health food stores and health professionals. It was letting the world know that the normal way of living is being dead, asleep, that there's another level of being superhuman. And it's like all these beliefs of how the body works and how it functions optimally are all, like I just read something the other day, is being free of beliefs is like heaven. Because when you're free of beliefs, you're not a slave to them, because your beliefs enslave you. So whatever you believe, one can question, is this really, 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 really true? It might have been, but is it true now? And you can decide that it's not, and you can be free. And oh my God, the world knows so little. They're all sleepwalking, but that's part of the process of what I can do to awaken the sleeping soul to its heritage and its reality of who and what it is and its potential. And so that's why I do what I do, because nothing is more fulfilling than when I'm talking to someone casually. I'm not wearing a priest's collar, and so I'm able to ignite that which they are, and for them to be ever grateful because I said something that opened up a part of them to become more free.
You've been on this path for a long time, and that's amazing. And
when no one else was, or not when anyone else, when very few were. It was like when I first became aware in 1971, I'm standing over some kind of balcony and say, damn, I thought I was the only one in life who didn't know what life was about, and everyone else did. And now I'm recognizing I'm one of the few who does. I said, oh my God, it was like humbling.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually going through this phase where it's hard for me to eat, and I'm kind of in that same realm of the fruitarian or frugarian, which is fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables. And I'm getting super lean and very spiritual. I'm meditating a lot.
Yeah. Beautiful.
In fact, I've actually been reading about the what did you call it? The aeritarian or
Breatharian.
breatharian. So living off of air, basically,
Yeah.
right? From my understanding, is Teresa, Mother Teresa, she does that. Is that?
Well, in the autobiography of a yogi,
Mm-hmm.
Yogananda interviews a lady who hadn't eaten for about 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
And he asked her, what would you do if you felt like eating? And
Mm-hmm.
she said, why, honey, then I'd eat. So it's not a discipline in the sense that it's just, she just doesn't feel like eating and doesn't need to,
Right.
because she's learned how to. And again, when you see examples of this to break the rules, instead of putting it off in a shelf and calling it an anomaly,
Mm-hmm.
it inspires you to develop a system, an all-inclusiveness of that can answer all questions in life instead of pushing it under the rug.
Right.
And so it's always wonderful to have examples of this. And yeah, now the discipline you're going through right now, and you're following your inner guidance, and then one day that belief will know that practice will no longer serve you.
Mm-hmm.
It will end because you will have completed the finishing of it when you graduate from college, or
Right.
when you graduate from high school. Next thing you know, you're a freshman in college.
Right.
It's like, so all disciplines, they'll all end at the appropriate time. And are you tuned in enough to recognize that the rules have changed? And that's
Right.
when the fun is. So your inner guidance will guide you,
Mm-hmm.
to the next step. And when something, all of a sudden you're eating these vitamins for 8 years, and all of a sudden they're not energizing you, and then you find another vitamin that works, and
Mm-hmm.
you have loyalty toward the other vitamin, well, you have to decide, you have to make a decision. There's a great example of a belief that no longer serves you that I like to give. It's when you go to you have a ladder that takes you to the roof of a 3-story building.
Mm-hmm.
And and when you finally get there, there's a helicopter there waiting to take you to your dream destination. And
Right.
you tell the helicopter driver, oh, wait, let me get my my ladder so I can take it with me. And he says, sir, that won't fit. That's not possible. And at that time, you have to make a decision whether you can let go of your belief that has served you for all those years that it took you to climb, or move on and thank it, and realizing your 4th grade teacher is not necessary in 5th grade.
Right.
Yeah.
I like this one analogy. I want to say, like, Bruce Lee talked about it, how the water becomes the cup, and in order to have more space within the cup, you have to empty the water. And so, emptying your cup and letting go of the things of the past to open up the space for new things to come into your future. That was profound lesson to me, because I think all of us are trying to hold on to the things that we're comfortable with.
It's trusting that if it's important enough, like, for example, I wanted to say something maybe 3 minutes ago, but then to hold on to that, I would have had to quit listening to you. And so I decided to let go of that and continue listening. And then I said, well, if it's important, it'll come back appropriately, and then you'll be able to hear it. But if I blurt it out now, you won't be able to hear it because it's not in sync.
Right. So where are you at now on your path as far as your diet? What are you doing anything special at this point?
I can eat anything. I'm always willing to pay the price.
Right.
See, and I, basically, stay away from refined sugars and refined carbohydrates. I do low dairy. I do seafood, and I do fowl. And occasionally once a year I'll have beef, and every couple of years I'll have pig. But I don't have any rules, and if I feel like eating it, I say, okay, let me see, and I check in, and if it feels okay, I do it. And if I have a problem, I pay the price, and and I don't feel like doing it for a while again.
Right.
So basically, I do a lot of fruits, and haven't been doing a whole lot of nuts, but I've been doing a lot of chocolate lately for some reason. I didn't do chocolate for 32 years, but now I can.
Uh-huh.
And I do a lot of herbal combinations, and I'll eat eggs. And basically, I travel a lot, so I like salads and soups. And
Right.
so I can eat not a standard American diet, but anything now. And I'll fast periodically for a day or two,
Uh-huh.
or for intermittently for 16, 17, 18 hours. Um, it's like, I don't know, I just eat what I eat. And now I've already gone through all the shit. I've already gone through whatever, all the disciplines. So
Right.
now I can do what I want to do. I know I have to pay for the consequences if I do too much of something. And I'm able
Right.
to, because I know how to heal myself.
Right.
I just fast. I get in the relaxed sauna. The relaxed sauna has been a godsend for 20 years, 21
Yeah.
years. I mean, it's the pinnacle of all the products we've ever sold in my health food store for getting you into the moment and getting you detoxified and cleansed and balanced.
Uh-huh. Now, before we jump into the relaxed sauna, can you tell me a little bit more about your out of body experience and how that came about?
Yeah, I was dating this woman in college, met her my sophomore year, and we dated for a year. And then during the next summer, she met this other guy. And then I would date her for the whole next year, but he'd come down every 4 or 5 weeks and I wouldn't see her for 3 days. So it left me in a bad situation. And then the next year, my senior year, all of a sudden she wasn't the same as she was before. And I would complain a lot, and when you complain a lot, you're no fun to be with. So he started writing me, and I didn't know any better. So I started writing him back. He said, well, if Lori really loves you, then you must be a cool person. The day before the last semester of college at Indiana University, he knocked on my door and we talked, and he told me all the secrets. And I told him the other secrets that neither of us knew. But I realized at the time that he could be for her and I couldn't. And so I had to surrender. And so I was sort of like walking like a zombie for 3 days, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. And the thing that kept me sane is I had to teach. I was a brilliant math student, so I was teaching the honors calculus class for freshmen. Anyway, in the trauma of that, I had a realization that I was too left brain, needed to get involved in music, dance, and art. But a year and a half later, I looked back at the situation, and definitely 2 or 3 beings took me out of my body and showed me what I needed to do. Like they had an overhang of about 6 indoor handball courts, where 1/3 of the women were doing music, 1/3 were art, and 1/3 were dance.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling me that I was too left brain. I needed to become more right brain and start to feel. I was a thinker that needed to become a feeler. So I first thought that the answer to life was all you had to do was feel. Well, that's true if you're a thinker, but if you're a feeler, you need structure and you need to, get some thoughts and behind your feelings. So
Right.
because basically thinking without feeling brings about woe, and feeling without thinking brings grief. And so you sort of want to integrate thinking and feeling, and if they're in harmony with each other, then you're free.
Right.
So they're both pull on you when they're not in harmony, and so you want to get them both to be in harmony. And so my life's experiences, led me to these realizations, and then I started meditating. I fell into meditating. I never meditated before. No one taught me how to meditate. I just started meditating because there's nothing else I wanted to do while I was listening to music. Nothing else gave me sukha. So I just would start meditating accidentally, not knowing what I was doing. It's like, again, the inner guidance that I got connected from that to that water from whence you drink, you never thirst again kind of thing. And guidance has been there guiding me. And you learn to know that it's you, that it really is, that it's you, and it's all wise and all knowing. Right. And the more you listen to it, the better your life gets and the more free you feel. and the more free you are, the easier it is to love, the easier it is to be loved.
I know you mentioned, Yogananda's book.
Yeah.
Did you have any guru of your own that helped
Not,
guide you down this spiritual path?
not when I read it. At that time, I met this guy, Charlie, at Ohio State University, and he recommended I read that book and also the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Right.
And then so basically, I was guided to a man named Eric in Columbus, Ohio, who helped me a bit. And then I went traveling and I ended up in Colorado. I went to a lecture about Paul Twitchell and I heard about Paul Twitchell. And Paul Twitchell started working with me on the inner planes. And so he's been assisting me for 53, 54 years. But, I have had spiritual teachers. I've read many books about great spiritual teachers. A number of them are good friends of mine. I've been blessed to meet a lot of well-known authors because I go to conferences and sell the Relax Sauna, and I go to the conferences where these people speak. Paul Twitchell basically has been my teacher for 53 years, but I don't tell that to many people,
Right.
Because it's not necessary. But
Yeah.
he wrote the book, The Tiger's Fang, his journey into the heart of creation, The Tiger's Fang. And that book I read in 72, and that's probably the best book I've ever read on this planet in terms of inspiration. And I still remember the visuals I got from reading it in 1972.
Yeah. Well, I hear a lot of, Buddhist teachings within what you're saying. And I'm also in I follow Paramahansa Yogananda, and I'm actually in the process of his self-realization course.
Wonderful.
Training for Kriya Yoga. So, I mean, all the stuff that you're speaking with, I'm very familiar with, and it's fascinating as I'm going through this process and hearing other individuals' stories and how they've gone through the process as well. So I'm definitely in tune with that.
Well, it's interesting because I usually don't talk about Yogananda, but it's again, when you just listen and you speak what comes out, all right, I'll say that. I don't care, whatever needs to be said.
Right.
So it's always interesting and fascinating. I'm not necessarily aware of being tuned in, but I guess I'm very tuned in.
For me, as I get more educated, and it's when things are brought into your awareness, it becomes more you're tuned into it. But in many cases, I think that we do things a certain way, which may be congruent with these different belief structures, but then when you're educated on it, and then you become aware that why you were doing what you were doing, that for me, I look back and I had done a lot of things, but I didn't really know why I did them. And as I get older,
what I learned in 1971, and I used to say over and over again to myself, reason comes after the fact. You do what you need to do because you're prodded and pushed and shoved and guided to do what you do, and you don't need to understand why. You just need to tune in, get into the moment, and do it. And later on, at the appropriate time, it'll be explained why, if you need to know why. So reason comes after the fact. Just absolute reliance on inner guidance is my credo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that brings up the word faith, and having the faith that things are going to turn out good for you and everything is meant for a reason. So I find myself saying that to myself, like, I don't know why I'm doing it. I feel like I'm preparing for something.
Yes.
And whether that's physically or mentally or whatever the case, I feel like I'm preparing for something, but never really knew what it was. And, as I go through this path, things are becoming more apparent and the lights are coming on. I'm able to see what I'm actually doing here. If, for example, like the interviewing of people like you, it just becomes more apparent why we ended up in this position here.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
Well, one thing is to realize that you are the only one responsible for the creation of your life. Nothing happens to you, it happens for you because you've created it. So, like I call him Saint Jiminy. You've heard of him. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Right.
And so your dreams are manifesting because you're the daydreamer. You're dreaming your life. And so it has to happen because you daydreamed it. And it'll happen when you finally let go of your attachment of it happening, and know that that everything will fall into place. You just continue to live in the moment, and all your dreams will come true because you're the one that's creating them.
Right.
And you're a co-worker with the life force, or it. And
Right.
you and it are creating your life together.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things in the world, the process of how it all works.
Yeah. My wife and I were just talking the other day, and she was saying one of her struggles is that, in letting go and just in having that faith. And she felt like if she let go of her, holding on to things, that everything would fall apart, almost like everything would unravel in her life, as if if she's not working so hard to hold everything together, it would all fall apart. But I know the teachings are that you have to let go and just believe and have faith, and just allow your life to flow for you. Do you have any input on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, my name is Phillip Wilson, and there's a band called Wilson Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
And their most famous song is Hold On.
Huh.
And I say let go. But see, the thing is, you have to hold on tightly, and then you have to let go lightly. So when you let go, you embrace, and then trust, and know that, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Really, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like Daniel Brinkley says, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can die. Then he gets all excited because he's had 4 near-death experiences, and he knows that it's going to be incredible when he can finally release the body and move forward. But until that time, we're here in service.
Right.
And if you have noticed, or observe comes from the word serve.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're observing life instead of judging it, the observe is the antidote of judging. When you're observing, you're serving. There's only one thing we can serve, and that's what is the life of itself.
Right.
So it's a trust issue. It's more than a faith, but it's a trust. And it's like, okay, what'll happen if I let go?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you let go, and then see what happens. And sometimes you're floating on a cloud, and but eventually it comes around and you're better off. But it's scary, but one needs to remember that anything that is sacred, it has the same letters as scared. So if sacred and scared have the same letters, there's a relationship. So everything that is sacred is scary, because you're letting go of junk and moving into a higher level of awareness and freedom. It's part of the process.
Right.
And so again, you learn to trust more and more and more and more.
Right. Do you think it's like the fear of the unknown? I know that for sure my wife, her concern specifically was that the fear of death, and that she felt like if she let go, she would just die. And that's her fear.
Well, I think the fear of being judged is actually worse than the fear of death. That's the ego. It's like the Orientals have, it's my honor, and all that's bullshit, frankly.
Right.
It's just your idea of what you are, but you're not any of that. And so try it. The worst thing that can happen is you die, and you can't die. But we find that out, when we find it out.
Right.
But it's impossible to die. And there's a poem by Rumi that says, I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I died as an animal and became a human. What makes me ever think I become less by dying?
Right.
So if she dies, she'll a new her, because you can't not exist. Can you imagine yourself not existing?
Right. Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear people have, and I think it's I guess perhaps an educational in an understanding of who you actually are, because a lot of people believe that they are the body, and therefore when the body dies, they die. So when you understand differently, you can act differently.
Well, when you're dreaming, you're not in your body. You have a consciousness. You have an awareness.
Right.
But Chang Tzu, said, when I dreamed I was a butterfly, and says, when he came back, said, what makes me think I'm a Chang Tzu dreaming I'm a butterfly, maybe I'm a butterfly dreaming I'm Chang Tzu.
Right.
So the whole idea is I think the fear of death is very related to the fear of being judged. And what's interesting, that no one judges us except us. We are the enemy. We are the one. And what we do is when we think someone's judging us, we're projecting our own judgment upon ourselves onto them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really humorous to become aware of the shenanigans of our mind as we do this to ourselves. And so once you can laugh at your own shenanigans, then you have a new lease on life.
Right. Yeah. No, it's wise words there. Wise words. So let's get into a little bit of the Relax Sauna. How did you get into doing that?
I've been selling massage tools pretty much at conferences for 20 years, from 1981 until about 2001. And I did a biological dentist show in Las Vegas, and the next day there was a spa show. And I went to it. I got a ticket to go in, and there was one of my suppliers there, who I buy massage tools from, and they had a sauna there. I said, wow, I can't believe you can have a sauna in your own home. Oh my God, I've always loved saunas because you just feel so rejuvenated. And so a year later, I could afford to buy one wholesale, and I bought one. And a year later, I got a call from the Relax Sauna company in Taiwan, who saw all my verbiage on my website about this other sauna. And they said, our sauna is technologically a lot more advanced. If you want to try it, we can give you a good price on it. I said, okay. And they sent me one from Taiwan. It came 2 days later. And everyone at the store and the office said, oh my gosh, this is night and day from the other sauna. The other sauna had a little camping chair in it. It took too long to get hot. It took me 18 minutes sitting on the floor to get to the point where I'd be starting to sweat. It took me 55 minutes to have a decent sweat. And the Relax Sauna, instantly, it felt great. 8 minutes, I'd start sweating. 22 minutes, a complete sweat. I didn't know at the time that 100% of the energy coming out of it was pure far infrared energy, with a magic frequency of between 7 and 14 microns. The research on the far infrared saunas are between 3 and 50 microns, with maybe only 20 to 50% of the energy actually being far infrared ray. We are far infrared light beams. Water is a far infrared molecule. When we give the frequency of 7 to 14 microns, it's the same energy as water and our body, which is 9.4 microns, all mammals, all birds, all humans. And so because it's the same vibration, we don't resist it, and we absorb it, and it penetrates very deeply, and it resonates with the water molecules, getting them to vibrate. That vibration helps undo the ionic bonds between the hydrogen and the oxygen in the water, and unstructures the water to release the encapsulated poison gases from the body. And that's only far infrared does that. You can go into a Finnish sauna and sweat like crazy, but you won't release those toxins, because you have to increase body temperature and you have to vibrate the water molecules. The water molecules don't vibrate, there's not a release. And the only thing that gets it to release is the frequency of water itself.
Are you saying that you're like just sweating normally? Like you say, I was even just to go like for a run, and I'm sweating profusely, and is that's not getting out the toxins?
A little bit, but you know, I mean, how many people with Lyme disease have exercised like that and gotten relief? It's not the sweating, you know, it's the increasing the body temperature. And when you create the fever, Hippocrates said, find me a way to create fever and sweat, and I will cure disease, all disease, any disease.
Right.
So by increasing the body temperature, you can basically study what happens when you have a fever. And there are 5 main things that happen. You activate the immune system, the lymphatic system, to get the toxins out. you increase the circulation, and that lowers the blood pressure and gets rid of inflammation and pain. You oxygenate the body, and that kills the anaerobic bacteria and possibly parasites like the Lyme spirochetes. And the most important thing, and again, Relax Sauna does this better than any other sauna. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system that gets you into the now where there's no time. My quasi definition of pain is the awareness of time.
Huh.
Have you ever hurried? Have you ever worried? Have you ever waited?
It's all time, right?
It's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's related to time. But if you can get outside of time, the mind can't interfere with the natural body rhythms to heal yourself.
Huh.
And then when you get, like when I'm meditating, I get to that point, and all of a sudden I start feeling energized, not to caffeine neurotic energy, but to real energy based on being in the now and in the moment and centered in that. So that's what also happens. You activate the mitochondria to create real energy, ATP and nitric oxide. So those are the 5 main things that happen when you create a fever. The relaxed sauna increases your body temperature significantly more than any other sauna. It also, the golden rule on the effectiveness of a sauna is the increase in what they call heart rate variability, or they call it HRV. And when you increase heart rate variability, you're basically increasing the interval between heartbeats. Now, when anyone's really nervous, the heart starts beating really, really fast.
Right.
So when you can basically, and if your heartbeat is really slow, then you have the ability, like a martial artist, to be able to handle anything that comes at you. And that's the mark. And the relaxed sauna increases heart rate variability significantly more than the research on how much heart rate variability is increased on all the wooden saunas and all the research. When we tested the relaxed sauna compared to that, we blow their figures out of the water.
Right.
And that's big. Again, we sent the relaxed sauna, a $1,200 portable sauna, and a $300 Amazon sauna to Harvard University. Their physics department measured the exact frequency of the relaxed sauna energy and found that all of it. And we also sent it to Polytechnic University in LA, and they also said that all of the relaxed sauna for 60 minutes was between 7 and 14 microns. The $1,200 portable sauna, that tells everyone they're the best. Their energy was from 1.2 microns to 6 microns. So only 8% of their energy was actually far infrared ray energy. And the Amazon sauna, which I was shocked to see, all of the energy was 0.95 microns to 1.3 microns, which means there's no far infrared energy at all in it. And in the $1,200 sauna, they had 8% far infrared ray energy, but none of it was in the special vibration of 7 to 14 microns.
Right.
So although they can give you a good sweat, and they do have people that rave about them, but then again, if you live 5 miles from the grocery store and someone gave you a bicycle, man, you'd be happy as a clam. you'd be happy as a lark. You'd be ecstatic because you can ride the bicycle. Sometimes you have trouble bringing the groceries home.
Right.
There's so many. But if I gave you a Mercedes, you would say, the bicycle was nice, but it's not the same as this Mercedes. And so the relaxed sauna is sort of like the Mercedes of saunas. And again, people don't know, when you buy a vitamin C supplement or a zinc supplement, you say, well, how much zinc is in it? How much vitamin C? Or if you buy a turmeric formula, you say, well, how much of the active ingredient curcumin is in it? But all saunas are not alike. They're all different doses. And you're basically, a $300 Amazon sauna, frankly, is worth about $50. The $1,200 a portable sauna is worth about $300. The relaxed sauna is worth about $20,000.
Right.
But our suggested retail is $2,000. We sell it for $1,500 online. But the wooden saunas for $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 cannot do what the relaxed sauna does. Now, we put someone in the Relax Sauna at a conference in Detroit last weekend, and she had been vaccine injured, not from the COVID, but from a vaccine like one of the other ones that they do
Right.
13 years ago. And for 13 years, she's had shooting pain in her feet. In 7 minutes, being in the Relax Sauna, no pain. She came back the next day, no pain. She gave me a third interview that day. She ordered a sauna. She got the sauna, still no pain. She's used it a couple times since. This is sort of like unbelievable. It's remarkable. We had a man who got in the Relax Sauna at a conference in Albuquerque last August. He had constant pain, sciatica pain of a 7 to 8 pain constantly for 6.5 weeks. He did the sauna for 15 minutes, sweated a lot, and then came out of it, and he was jumping up and down saying, "Look, no pain at all." He got a little cocky, so he came back the next day because his pain came back, and then it all went away again. Some guy had asked him, "Well, what's wrong? You're crying." He says, "I'm crying with joy. If I was a multimillionaire, I would buy these for every old age home." I mean, how many people have told me? I mean, I almost guarantee, I've got a little cocky. I said, I guarantee you 5 to 7 minutes, 50% to 100% of your pain will be gone. Guaranteed every time without sweating with your clothes on. And if that doesn't get them in the sauna, I tell them it feels like your grandma's giving you a loving hug. And that gets the other half in. Because you have to experience the difference, and then you feel the momentum of what it can do for you in terms of changing the quality of your life.
So let me circle back. We talked about the benefits of fever. Now, we've all been programmed to believe that the fevers were bad, and anytime we get a fever, we run to take Tylenol or lower the fever. Can you talk a little bit more about what the benefits are and how it actually helps the body rather than harm the body, like many of us have been led to believe?
Well, that programming is insanity. It's true. If your fever gets to 104, 105, 106, then you can find measures to do that. There's actually a hospital in St. George Hospital in Germany where they get the body to be 104, 105. It kills all the parasites, and they have sophisticated equipment that makes sure it doesn't get to 107, 108, because then the body would die, and that would defeat the purpose. So, that's what hyperthermia is. It's it's probably the only cure for cancer, frankly, because cutting, poisoning, and burning are not cures. And it's a crazy world. I got involved in the holistic health industry in 1971 when I had that Kundalini awakening experience, and I couldn't eat anything. I ate meat 3-4 days after I had a steak 3-4 days after the experience, and I was comatose for about 6 or 7 or 8 hours. I just had to meditate. 4 days later, I had a ham. The same thing happened. So, I didn't know what to do. I would go to the health food store. The guy recommended I get into fasting. I was doing grapefruits. I was doing brown rice. I didn't know, I was like a fish out of water. And I was pondering, but, I was, that's the way the ball bounces. You just have to have fun with it. Eventually, I found a regimen and a diet. I would do yogurt occasionally, and I would get into the dates and figs and the cashews and other nuts just to balance me, to give me the energy. And I would eat eggs and it would wipe me out. I would eat a whole lot of yogurt. It would wipe me out. So I had to, trial and error. And eventually I found, a diet that worked for me. But the fever, traditional American, Indian, your grandmothers, we all knew how to care for ourselves, before the pharmaceutical cartel doctors, the Rockefeller doctors trained in becoming drug salespersons. And even though they said say no to drugs, hell, every other advertisement on TV is about drugs.
Right.
I don't know where the disconnect is, but when I think I was asked the other day, like I think I don't really have a doctor, and I had to fill out some form, and it maybe for Medicare, and it said, what drugs are you on? I mean, how presumptuous to assume that I'm on a drug,
Right.
especially when your advertising says say no to drugs. I mean, I think, more deaths are caused by abuse of pharmaceutical drugs. I think pharmaceutical drugs, I learned have their use. I had in 1971, after the Kundalini experience, I went to the health center and got my allergy shots. And I said, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been, shot with 7 doses of no dose, and I didn't like it. But, then I found I had asthma as a kid, probably due to the childhood vaccines. But I didn't know it until I realized maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, damn, all the asthma and allergy problems I had as a kid was probably due to that. But, it's so subtle. You think it's normal. So at any rate, I found herbal formulas that always got rid of my asthma. Well, then, I've had one asthma attack in the last 20 years. I got in the sauna for 3 minutes, and the sauna took care of it. But nothing worked back in 71. So I went to the health center. I got my Tedral, and it worked immediately. I said, aha, drugs have their place. So once I learned that drugs had their place and wasn't anti-drugs, I never had to use a drug for asthma. All the other natural remedies will work. But I had to learn that to be neither for or against anything. Because if I'm for or against anything, I lock myself in duality and exile myself from the God consciousness state. And why would I want to do that? Why would I want to lose my connection to that, that life force that is a part of all life?
Right. Is there a specific temperature that is recommended for, like I know you mentioned the 104 to 107 is bad. So is there something that people would be shooting for, or what would be ideal to maintain?
Well, Dr. Paul Anderson, he used to teach at Bastyr Naturopathic College for 25 years and now gives seminars in the advanced application of medical practice. He says the Relax Sauna is amazing. For a sauna, it's pretty amazing that it gets the temperature up to 101.5, 101.9 every time. So after 20, 22 minutes, it can do that, and sometimes a little more. But just to get it to 101, 102, that's amazing, because that gets the job done, especially if you do it regularly.
Is there any science or studies that are discussing the effects of a fever and what is happening physiologically that's benefiting us?
Well, there's a book. It's called The Power of Fever, and it goes into that. And you can just do an internet search for benefits of fever, and I mean, that's the body's natural way to detox. What does the body do when you overdose on gunk? You have pesticides, you have glyphosate. Eventually the body's not going to be able to function. You're going to get sick, and then you're going to detox. The body wants to get it out, and it's wisdom. And so that's why wolves and animals that live in the woods will go off and just not eat, and that's what I do. I want to eat when I'm sick, and then you just naturally fast. You do the sauna, and then you feel great. Sleep and rest. All the great things: pure water, pure sunshine, pure food, and pure air. Ozone is good. There's a lot of new energy medicine products that are in the marketplace, and the Relax Sauna, the far infrared sauna, will make all of them work more effectively. It's a conjunction. We had a lady who was selling microcurrent technology at a booth down the aisle from us, and she got in the sauna and had her partner come over, and they said, wow, this is going to make our products more effective. And when she got in the sauna, the second lady, she said, oh my gosh, I had cancer 4 or 5 years ago, and I can feel my whole system reorganizing itself.
Interesting.
And so, the amazing benefits of far infrared technology is I think the people who designed and got the Relax Sauna, 10 years of research to be able to give you pure far infrared light between 7 and 14 microns. Dr. Chang and his team of scientists from 1987 to 1997, we believe that they really deserve the Nobel Prize, because no other, we're the only sauna that uses computer technology to give you. That's why we can give you that, because Planck's law says you cannot do this. And that's why, like even when we asked Dr. Gerald Pollack, who says that infrared light will increase the easy zone water, the fourth phase of water, that will do it. And he speaks a lot about the benefits of infrared. So we asked him, well, what infrared energy do you use? He says, well, we only use up to 5. And we said, how come? And he says, because we don't know how, we can't find a company that can find more than 5, that we can find, and we do 7 to 14 microns. And that's what's so exciting about it. Magic of the 7 to 14 micron, the fact that Gerald Pollack says we can't find a company that can give us the energy after 5 microns. Well, that's because it's very expensive to create far infrared energy more than 5 microns. But the Relax Sauna, the 7 to 14 microns, and we do it, at a pretty inexpensive price, way more costly than the carbon panels and whatever the other saunas are able to produce. And a lot of people don't realize that. But it's the 7 to 14 micron range. That's the special frequency that the doctor in Japan who wrote the book, Science of Far Infrared Therapies. And she talks about only upon application of 7 to 14 micron, that's what gets rid of the encapsulated poisonous gases, because it causes the water molecules to vibrate. And she didn't say 4 microns, 5 microns, 15 microns, or 2 microns, or near infrared or mid infrared. She said the 7 to 14, which is all far infrared. Far infrared goes from 4 to 1,000 microns. But and people talk about nanometers. Well, near infrared starts at 0.76 nanometers. 0.76 microns, which is 760 nanometers. So we're talking about 4,000 to 7,000 to 14,000 nanometers.
Right.
And red is 760 nanometers. Violet's 480 nanometers. Now, the diameter of a hair, going back to microns, is about 50 microns, the diameter of a human hair.
Right.
So we're talking about the vibration of water is at 8 microns. So the wavelength of water is 1/5 the wavelength of the human hair, of the diameter. And the wavelength of red is about 10 to 12 times the wavelength of water.
Interesting.
Okay, and the violet is about 1/20th the wavelength of water, and the human body is 9.4 microns. So we're just about the same, because our body is mainly water. That's why we vibrate the same as water. And again, the temperature inside a sauna is not what does the therapy. The therapy is the resonating light causing the water molecules to vibrate, causing an increase in body temperature. That's the therapy. So the outside body temperature is for comfort and to support. For example, if you were at 100 degrees and you were getting the energy, you can go into the relaxed sauna and just keep it all the way open and do it for 25 minutes, and you'll start sweating anyway. Now, you can see the relaxed sauna behind my right shoulder, it's on your left, and that it has a silver on the outside, and that's because the silver acts as a mirror for the light. So the three things they don't teach you in 8th grade. Far infrared light, it's a light energy, and so therefore the speed of it is 186,000 miles a second.
Mm-hmm.
They don't teach you that far infrared goes through clothes, but you know it when you go out to the sun on a hot day. You close your eyes and you can feel to the core of your bone, you can feel that warmth.
Right.
If that doesn't prove it goes through clothes, I don't know what does.
Right.
The fact that turtle eggs hatch should be another, how come the turtle eggs hatch? The far infrared energy goes through the sand, goes through the sand. The sand does not get hot, but the water in the turtle egg starts resonating, and that increases the temperature in the turtle egg and activates the embryo to grow into turtle. Right. Now, the top of the sand gets hot the same way we get suntan and sunburn. The ultraviolet does that, but the far infrared goes through the sand, and the sand does not get hot at all. Like when you go into the relaxed sauna with clothes on, your clothes do not get hot. But you're starting to sweat and you're getting really hot, but your clothes are still cold. Because
let me ask you this. So my understanding of the way microwave works is microwave makes the water molecules vibrate so fast that's how it heats up the food. How is this different?
Well, George, who is the son-in-law of the inventor of the Relax Sauna, says, I wish I had those tools to show you. But basically, you could say there's a negative spin and a positive spin. And the microwave spins the wrong way. It's like a negative spin, and the far infrared spins the correct way. That's why we tell people, if you've been damaged by microwave energy, the far infrared sauna, especially the relaxed sauna, antidotes. This is what the lady in the science of far infrared therapy points out, that the antidote to EMF overdose is far infrared energy. And I have a friend of mine in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He sells a couple devices to protect you from EMF. He says of the 12 or 15 EMF protection devices, nothing works better than the Relax Sauna. Nothing works better than the Relax Sauna for mitigating dangerous EMF created by cell phones and microwaves and Wi-Fi. See, the Wi-Fi and microphones are 100% or 10 times, 100 times more dangerous than any household appliance. The Relax Sauna, when we sent it to Harvard, was 1/10 the EMF of a low EMF $1,200 portable sauna that says they tell people that we have dangerous EMF, and yet we have 1/10 the EMF they do. But their EMF is not dangerous, frankly. But even though they have 1/15 EMF of the Amazon saunas, none of those are dangerous because these things are way, way more dangerous. Right. And so is the Wi-Fi in a building if you don't carry a cell phone. And so everything is in perspective. We have 5 people in Southern California and Arizona who go into homes to make them safe EMF-wise. They all have relaxed saunas in their house that they use regularly. Dr. Klinghardt, who educated the Western world about the dangers of microwave EMF, he uses the Relax Sauna. So anyone who says that the Relax Sauna, who measures it from that little $160 machine, who measures the EMF there and thinks that the 20, 30, 40, whatever it is by the radiator, of course, there's no EMF above the knees because we don't have any electricity above the knee. But a little bit of EMF there, again, if you have a $20,000 EMF measuring device, it accurately measures the Relax Sauna as having very little. And if you believe the World Health Organization saying that so much EMF is dangerous, then you believe that vaccines are healthy because the World Health Organization is not our friend. And I don't know, I think about 95% of what they say is untrue. I think that they know it. I don't know, it doesn't matter, but if you believe them, then you're a slave to their beliefs and your beliefs. you can believe anything you want to. You have a free will, but and those devices that are $150, they can't do it a $30,000 machine. But that measuring, even if you measure on those devices, a lot of people say the Relax Sauna has much less EMF than any other sauna out there, especially above the knees where all the vital organs are.
Right.
So
and
there's
you said
out there, yeah.
You say that they're the antidote for the EMF. How does it counteract the effects of the EMF that we're exposed to?
Well, we talked about, I'm not sure totally how, but we talked about that the microwave has a negative spin.
Right.
The far infrared has a positive spin. So it undoes the damage caused in your body by getting the spin correctly. Basically divine love in a box that can heal all things.
Right. Would it have something to do with perhaps like the frequency that we resonate at a certain frequency that helps to, get us back on path? My understanding of the e-smog or the stuff that we're surrounded by, it creates a chaotic frequency within our body, which is dysfunctional. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. And so if you activate the parasympathetic, which gets you out of that flight and fight mode and back into the rest and repose mode, by activating the parasympathetic, that's pretty good to be able to do that. So
how often is it recommended to do sauna?
I do it every morning. Sometimes I do it at night. We feel that every day would be a good idea. 3 to 4 times a week is great. Everyone has to find their own rhythm. If you have a serious health problem, once or twice a day is good for therapy. And then later on, you don't need to use it as often. You can use it whenever you feel like it. It just really refreshes me. A 20-minute sweat in the morning, or even 10 minutes helps me. It puts a cup of coffee to shame in the morning. When I do it 20-minute sweat before night, frankly, I don't feel the need to do it as much in the morning. And so maybe I ought to do it at night before I go to bed. But sometimes I'll do it for 10 minutes before I get to bed, and I'll fall asleep, and then I'll wake up. Right when I start sweating, I'll wake up and I'll just go to sleep. So everyone has their 20 minutes for a complete sweat. But a lot of people find that 5 to 7 minute treatments with their clothes on without sweating is great. And the Relax Sauna does that because we take 30 seconds to preheat. And that's a real plus. And that's because of our technology is different than all the other technologies. All the other technologies pretty much are the same, especially for all the portable saunas. They all have carbon panels, and some of the wooden saunas have carbon panels. Some of the others have more sophisticated combination of ceramic and carbon. And they're worth $7,000-8,000. And I have sold Relax Saunas to hundreds of people who have wooden saunas in their home and don't use them because it takes so long to preheat and they just don't have the time. When it's new, they had the time, but after a while, you don't want to, some people have developed rhythms. They get up in the morning, turn on their sauna, they do whatever, and then sometimes they're ready, and sometimes they lost the momentum. So, but the big joke is, gee, I love your Relax Sauna. Damn, it feels so good. I said, well, why don't you get one? I said, I told you, I have a wooden sauna in my home. Do you use your sauna? I said, no, I told you I never use it because it takes so long to preheat.
Right.
Then why don't you get a Relax Sauna? I told you I already have a sauna. See, it's like,
let go.
Yeah, so if you invested $7,000-8,000 in that sauna, maybe it'd be worthwhile to invest $1,500 in the Relax Sauna. So it's just getting people to get into the moment and be present and realize that the Relax Sauna is a no-brainer, and it's the wisest thing they could do for their body and their mind and for themselves.
Right.
It also will transform a house into a home. because where there's a home, there's a hearth, which is a place of warmth.
When you're speaking earlier about your spiritual awakening, and that you were like stuck in your mind, and talking about how you had to open your heart up, and that's, as my understanding is, the as we rise and elevate and open up these different chakras, and as the heart chakra opens, it changes, it changes your mindset and changes the way that you think. And I've been experiencing that as well. And I too, I come from this like hard, logical mindset of everything, business and money, and we're all stuck in that. And but to be able to open up and have more compassion, I think it's definitely along my path, and I'm working towards improving.
Well, it's like Dr. Bernie Siegel interviewed a lot of people on their deathbeds, and not one person said I should have worked more.
Right.
They all said I should have loved more.
Yeah.
So we learn through hindsight, and then we come back again and get better and better. Like in Groundhog Day,
Right.
I think it took him 27 years
Yeah.
to learn what he learned. That's 365 times 27.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably 100,000,
Yeah.
times to get it right. So, feeling guilty just makes no sense at all.
Right.
You did what you did, and I think when you feel guilty about something, you sentence yourself to repeat it until you do it with joy.
Yeah.
Because, feeling guilty is only judging yourself. And it says, judge ye not lest you be judged. So
right.
the great evil of this world is judging.
Right.
So, and the antidote to that is to observe. When you look at a sunset, you're not saying, I think the orange should go where the purple is. You're just appreciating it. And there's a secret lining in every judgment that a lot of people don't recognize, because a lot of people can't tell the difference between an observation and a judgment, but they're totally opposites. And the secret, the dark lining in every judgment is a complaint. You're complaining about what wasn't instead of embracing what is and enjoying what is. But when you judge something, you say that's bad.
Right.
Well, that's what the person needs to be doing. Who are you to decide? And so when you judge someone saying that's bad, you set yourself up for experiencing that, so you're no longer judging. And we do the same thing when we feel guilty about something. That's funny. Yeah. That's really funny.
That's like in that, having the attachment to the outcome, so you're attached to some certain outcome, and when that certain outcome doesn't occur, you feel, if you feel the way that you feel about it. And also, when I hear you speaking, I think of like the wheel of karma, and how we constantly are creating these attachments that if we want things to be better, then we're gonna have to be here to experience that, and we can never get past the attachments unless we just let them go and accept them for what they are.
See, whenever you're attached to something, you're clinging on to an idea whose time of value has perhaps lapsed. And so, clinging, never, sometimes clinging is good. You want to hold on, but then there's a point where the Wilson Phillips people sing hold on, and sometimes that can be healthy, but it soon turns into its opposite, where it's very, very unhealthy, because you're attached. And when you let go of the attachment, then your pure desire or reality comes to you. But you cannot, as long as you're attached to a dream, it can't happen. It's like you watch pot can't boil. You have to get back into the moment and be, so you can receive it. See, you have to get back in the moment so you can receive it. And when you're forcing something, there's a big difference between discipline and forcing. Discipline is when you apply pressure to get yourself to do what you really, really, really want to do. And self-force is when you apply pressure to do something that you no longer want to do, or something you thought you wanted to do.
Right.
And so discipline is a healthy thing, but but it becomes self-force if you're not honest with your true feelings in the moment. How do you feel right now?
Right.
Maybe 6 years ago you wanted to be a mathematician, but now you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're still heading down that path, right?
Yeah.
Because you felt attached to the outcome almost.
Yeah, because you're still, like, a lot of times when I drive to where I was working in Columbus, Ohio, and I had to turn left at the outer belt, but I'd gone to Cincinnati so many times. So if I'd get into the moment and I'd forget where I was and I'd pass by the exit. That old program would set in instead of the new program that says turn left.
Right.
So eventually, you get it worked out.
Let me ask you a question. When I saw you at the conference, I was speaking with one of your assistants, and she had mentioned that the advantage of the relaxed sauna, that your head is sticking out of the sauna. One of the benefits was that when you're sweating, you are off gassing, toxins, and then if you're sitting within a booth, you're basically inhaling those toxins back in. But that doesn't happen with the relaxed sauna. Is that correct?
Well, there's a little bit of truth to that. Every wooden sauna, your head is inside. Someone called me the other day, and they were concerned about, is it safe to have the head inside? Well, I said, well, there's about 100 different manufacturers of wooden saunas where you keep the head inside. But a lot of people say that, like in the Ayurvedic medicine, they don't want to get the head hot. But frankly, a lot of people, especially women who don't want to get their hair messed up or their makeup messed up, they like the fact that their head is out.
Right.
And they don't like the fact that they have to breathe the hot air in a wooden sauna. And they like and they use it. Otherwise, like one woman never used her husband's sauna, but at a show we did in San Diego about 10 years ago, she was in our sauna 4 times a day, and her husband bought it for her. And she uses it regularly, gave us a testimony. A lot of times you can duck your head into the relaxed sauna. And frankly, I flow with the wind. Maybe I'm breathing in the toxins again, but if they just got out, they'll be able to be released again. Right. And so I don't fear, and I just trust that. See, I used to sell rebounders in the early 80s, and the lymphatic system is a one-way valve. So when you're detoxifying, you're getting rid of the toxins, and sitting there for 20 minutes and not wiping the sweat, I don't believe you're going to reabsorb them.
Right.
And I think the fear of reabsorbing them is based on false information, or maybe not information, false beliefs.
Right.
But if you towel dry, you're not gonna, they're not gonna come back in. You work so hard to finally get them out.
Right.
And the relax and the lymphatic system is a one-way system, so you're in detox mode. Now, once you take a shower, that stops things. So it's advised, once you use the relaxed sauna, if you're only using it a couple times a week, wait 10 or 20 minutes before you shower, because you'll still detox. But if you use it regularly every day, it really doesn't matter, because you're doing it every day. But if you're only doing it 2 or 3 times a week, you want to get the maximum benefit from it.
Right.
But again, you need to shower to go someplace, shower.
Right.
You'll be fine. Just do it.
I know you had mentioned that even doing it for as short as like 7 or 8 minutes without a sweat is beneficial. But is there like an optimal time? And then also, are you looking for an optimal? Do you want to sweat profusely, or is that not that important?
Well, if I start sweating in 8 minutes and I sweat till I'm 20 or 22 minutes, that's 10 to 15 minutes worth of sweating. Then you feel really complete. Now, some people will say, okay, and sometimes I'll get out and then I'll take a shower, or I'll drink water and go back and do another 20 minutes. And if I do it a third time, I call that spa day for Phil, and I feel like I've been at the spa for 9 hours.
Right.
But a lot of people, like Huberman and Rhonda Patrick, they're into the athletic prowess. And you can experiment and do 40 minutes straight, 30 minutes straight, 50, 60 minutes, maybe drinking water, and see where it takes you. And there's probably a higher level of detox that you can attain. But that's for 1% of the people, and it's not necessary unless you're inclined that way. Most people aren't don't have the physical stamina to endure such, such endeavors. But for those who do, yeah, I mean, I've done it. Like I did it four straight hours one day about 4 years ago. I mean, I get out every 20 minutes. I went through about 10 towels and about, I'm not sure if it's 2 gallons or 4 gallons of water.
Right.
But I really felt incredible afterwards. It was like, wow, it's like, way better than a sweat lodge could ever be.
Right.
So, it's like experiment. That's the best thing to do. Just experiment and throw fear to the wind.
Right. I had heard some guy talking about actually when he was using your saunas, he stayed in for extended periods of time, and he felt like he got into like a psychedelic state of mind. Is there any credence to that?
Yes, yeah, because it's basking in divine love, and the more you're basking in divine love, the more fantastic things can happen to you. But yeah, you can do that. It can happen. One guy said he had an out-of-body experience. One lady in Canada said her heart chakra opened after only 5 to 7 minutes. So when you get into the present moment, miracles can happen.
Right. Very interesting.
Now, the Relax Sauna does this because of the exact frequency of wavelength. It's probably much rarer that you could have an experience like this in another sauna, but all saunas are good and healthy for you. It's just that the Relax Sauna is like la creme de la creme. It can do things that no other sauna can. And I know the lady who wrote the book, Gastro Girl, who is a colon hydrotherapist and has a hyperbaric oxygen chamber center. For 10 years, she would just pass by our sauna because she has a wooden sauna. And this could be as good as a wooden sauna, no way. But then she finally got in to 3 minutes. She couldn't believe the difference. So, one of my biggest challenges is running into someone who has a wooden sauna, who thinks they know it all, who thinks they have the best sauna out there. And again, some people have that $1,200 portable sauna, and they tell people they have the best. And one of my most fun challenges is to get those people to experience the Relax Sauna, to experience the difference and feel the incredible momentum and feel the difference between the Relax Sauna. It's night and day, but some people are attached.
Right.
They paid 6,000, 7,000, or they bought that $1,200 sauna. And it's like, it's like I bought a big pen for a dime, and I'm giving you a deluxe pen that's easier to use, and you have a pen. Okay, fine. You're happy, great. But if you want to experience more ecstatic moments, if your disease isn't being helped, if you're not achieving your dreams, health wise, get the Relax Sauna. And a lot of times I convince people to get it with a 30-day money back guarantee, which we give to all people.
Right.
And I've never, out of maybe 10 people who had the $1,200 portable sauna, they don't send the Relax Sauna back. They buy it.
Right.
Because it's different, it feels better, it's more loving, it's soft, warm, loving light. There's no harshness in it. See, the light that does not resonate with you is called harsh. The light that resonates with you is soft, and loving light. And it's a huge difference in the way you feel. Now you can sweat from the other saunas, and you can, but sweating isn't the total answer. It's helpful. So that's why all saunas are benefit. All sweating is good, but it's just an educational process, and again, the experience. It's just my challenge, it's like trying to awaken people, and some people are sleeping, just like in terms of the drug industry. A lot of people are sleeping, and there are different levels of that. So people are convinced that their sauna is the best.
Right.
What can I do? And you go in and you already have your prejudice, activated. So you're not letting yourself experience it. And you say, oh, there's no difference. One guy did that. He went home and got into his little cheap sauna and said, oh my gosh, there's a huge difference. But when he was inside it at the conference, he didn't notice it. But when he came home, he noticed a big difference. So, we offer it. And if you want to get it, great. If you think you got the best, who am I to burst your bubble?
Right.
As long as you're happy, great. As long as it's giving you what you need. But there may come a day when you realize it's not the same. Video interview testimonies on YouTube. They go to relaxsaunas.com/YouTube, or they can go to YouTube and put in Relax Sauna testimonials, and then click on our page. And there's 800 plus of them, plus a lot of the talks I did too. Yeah.
So before we end here, why don't you just give a plug for your website one more time, and discuss, how people can purchase this if they'd like.
Yeah. So it's relaxsaunas.com. We have our information page is relaxsaunas.com/superior. But if they want to order, they can go to relaxsaunas.com. And I think you're going to list a discount code there, and they can get a discount from the Relax Sauna at relaxsaunas.com. You just order it when you go to checkout, then you put in Trevor's discount code, and you get a discount. And then it ships out of Las Vegas. It ships out of Columbus, Ohio. So anywhere in the United States, they'll get it with 1 to 3 days. And it's $50 for shipping in the United States continental, $125 to Hawaii, Canada, or Alaska.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for your time. You're an expert, and I appreciate all your wisdom that you brought from your experience. And I'm sure that we're going to help make people superhuman.
Yeah, we're going to catalyze them and propel them into greatness.
That's the goal.
When you take advantage of the moment, you can propel yourself into greatness. So when people take advantage of the moment, order the Relax Sauna. And again, it's relaxsaunas with an S.com. It's not relaxsauna.com. It's relaxsaunas.com. That's important, because otherwise it won't get you to our page.
Right.
Okay.
All right, Phil. Well, thank you so much. And, if anybody has any questions, they can always leave comments, connect with us, and we'll hook you up with your sauna, your Relax Sauna, and change in your life.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
It can make a huge difference and transform your health in 3 days to 3 weeks. Guaranteed. It's got a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if they want to email me, they can email me at phil@relaxsaunas.com, and I can respond. But Trevor, it's been great. It's a wonderful opportunity to share this. And so I thank you very much for the opportunity, and let's do it again down the road.
Will do. Thank you again, Phil.
Okay. Thanks, Trevor.
Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. You must choose to become superhuman." Thank you for listening to this episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. Be sure to follow our social media channels. We'll see you next time.